Hello, America. Since we were kids, there was another nature of evidence that we could call the hyper-evidential. We refer to it as a hyper-evidential that we have been forbid use slash us of relative to all subject treatments. And I say use slash us of it because nature has a distinct conjunction to, but also as from what is not as at the same time. For one of the many ways at the same time, we could discern the identity of the hyper-simultaneous. For example, it is not us that invented why and how we have two eyes, for example, quality aspects in nature, distinct from the other species' bodies, involved with Earth's special difference. In our own, distinctly, but non-distinctly too, simultaneously per further hyper-simultaneous identity of value progression of relativity to how logic and reason works. For a long since before our founding, people have been saying, well, I'm not an expert on logic or reason. And they've been relying upon experts on it, still criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. So in other words, we're going to address this because the sources, they're Connecticut interbranch, interstates, also with the court next to the World Trade Center tower. They're involved with predicate acts with facts methods and people refusing to identify themselves. And difference slash differences, racket, roles, racket worse than war crime. This also involves co-defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his like a Thaddeus Grabowski is one of the ones on Fox Connecticut News, involved with social media pages of the Britain Superior Court, of other Connecticut courts, of Wethersfield Police, switching names, forging names, fabricating evidences as collusions with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases and the news at the same time, and criminal enterprises with their own family members. The difference between the names on the sides of the cases, the lawyers, the people tied to them, the people tied to where they advertise, that live next to them, those differences are exploited by this breaching method that forces, tricks, hurts, and persuades is self-valued right where it's not valued by anyone, but it makes exceptions. Self-valued rules with predicate acts with facts methods. And the difference between that or criminal insidiousness, delivery system methods, and motivations, narratives, and natures. Criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Increasingly self-valuing how Russians and Americans have been shared on off campuses here, where the only representation we have is as Americans to represent us or as Russians to represent themselves. They're involved with all kinds of predicate acts with facts methods here and there. The nature of negotiations, nature has been showing us. They're treating it as something positive relative to war, exactly the way the people at the end of the whip involved with slavery entrenched in America, northern colonies, in southern colonies, how they made positive and negative treatments. These are people are fishing to use, with the agencies are fishing too, to have other people use, in other words, Judge Napolitano has a guest on today named a doctor, and he said that people are using, I believe it was hard and soft, other than how Russia is. See, people, they're preventing us short words and changing and faking what we say, and their self-valued roles with it. So former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, has roles with Russians at Harvard Hospital who fake conversations with me with a whole bunch of other countries. These are people involved with Pakistan. These are people involved with Ukraine at the same time. These are people involved with Italy. Italy has, in other words, they can't defend the religion and their roles with the logic at location. Psychiatry is criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Whole bunch of people tied to and as one's named Demora and Scalora have roles with Italy, with the Russian, with Saudi attackers, And the Saudi attackers too. They had roles with a worse criminal body, because our side had roles with it too. WFSB has roles with it. Before the World Trade Center attack, from Connecticut, Channel 3 News of Connecticut, in that context and sense. There have been collusions with intelligence next to WTNH and next to Fox Connecticut News, involved also with wire crime acts and methods, mail crime acts and methods, with their interbranch communications too, names forging and switching names. They have black and white female judges involved with some Confederate flag theme, black theme, KKK themed, and Latino themed falsifying police reports, with connected years apart, first forced child abusers, leaders of kids. The same families involved with forcing it before it was caught. I caught more too. In other words, they were doing it, increasingly whiting forensics, and Sandy Hook has a prison there. They're involved with people with the name Cololo and Demoro on and off the state corrections offices and on and off the state judicial branch offices, with predicate acts, with facts, also with their educators since they were kids. And they don't know the extent of it because everyone was used and is used criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. You don't bring up these serious subjects A through Z without bringing up how we have black pupils, whites of eyes. See how the knowledge of good and evil at science is A through Z. Oh, well, I know more. We're an expert on this, or on Russia. Where you guys are an expert on this country. You guys are here together, recorded, involved with predicate acts together, with differences, rackets, with culture, as culture is individually grouped together, tactical ulterior from how nature's identity has individuals, group difference /s, and species body of individual bodies manifest. I took best so many ways, boxes. They were refusing to identify themselves with the Wethersfield police. Their social media is involved. They have a Joshua Schumack and his mother, increasingly involved. I heard a conversation with his mother and my wife. They tried to make pictures, make it look like an illusion of other. A whole bunch of people tied to a Joshua Schumack, a Joshua Julian, who's also one of the ones on the Facebook page of the principal child defender with some foreign and domestic medical families. So now these are ones with badges too. And these are ones with gavels, speaking fake things in records, tactically delusions raw too, like a Judge Killian. And his family, the family members of probative judges, more than 3, tied to people with the name Cololo and Smith, wire crimes and Wethersfield police, refusing to get on paper since I was a kid. They should fear God now. Get them on paper, one name in sequence, please. Have Judge Napolitano get me a response, because they have some social media in there. WFSB attached me to fake conversations with themselves and with others. That was recorded. A whole bunch of natures of organized crime roles at the same time, distinct natures of organized crimes. And the family members and kids of those groups sequence shifting together with the female judges and prosecutors and their family members involved. And lying about why and how, what they think about me. Get them on paper, one name in sequence, so I can show you the rest about forgiveness. Is because I'm speaking about the particular acts, the predicate acts, and other people have. The people across America wanted to speak about how all locations /s. There are confessions, demonstrations, confirmation of how other than nature tells us how to interpret American history. It's, in other words, people explain how they have known self-valued, abridged descriptions of American history and pretending other anyway. Criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and consciously while pretending other, involved with the police, with lawyers of the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and of Wethersfield Police. Also recorded with all kinds of countries at corners of streets involved, all along roads and routes, and natures of conjunctions to the state judicial branch offices and corrections offices of Connecticut involved with World Trade Center predicate acts. That can be used, and cover-ups of them as ones with too. That can be used to show how it was perpetrated. Increasingly, educators of a Mike Pandolf had roles of the World Trade Center attack, and people with at corners of streets, like near his house, who are involved with the war crimes, acts and methods with the Wethersfield police, also with foreign and domestic military, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw. Get them from the name switching and forging names out the paper right now with the courts. Let's go. Don't make me beg.